try this now for the third time. So twice today I'm trying to do lives here and talk about this awesome topic I want to talk about. I got cut off midstream. Don't know what that's about, but I'm assuming it's just all going to work today. So anyway, what's up? Good afternoon. I want to talk today about deeper love. One of the core pillar pieces of my signature system I've been developing is how we can open our hearts and really get clear in our heads so we can generate and co-create deeper love. And I want to talk about it through the lens of boundaries. I'm excited to talk about that, but I want to hear from you. I want to make this a dialogue, not a monologue. And what I want to talk about is actually, what I hear from you is, first of all, if you're watching, say hi. Say what's up. Let me know you're here. Second of all, anytime at all that what I'm sharing resonates or you feel it's valuable, I want you to go ahead and drop a fire emoji in the comments. When I see that fire emoji, I get excited and I know that I can actually share more about this in the future. And third, if you're watching, I want to know what's your personal definition or understanding of boundaries. What I've found with my work with clients and as my own life progresses and grows is that people have very different understandings and definitions of boundaries and how personal boundaries work. So say hi to me or share with me what's your personal definition or what's your personal understanding of boundaries. So I want to tell you that I've been doing a lot of cycling recently. If you're watching my videos, my content, or you're seeing pictures of my profile, you've noticed that. A lot of my pictures are me and Natalie cycling, or me cycling and doing these longer rides. And over the past weekend, I had the chance to cycle all over DC. I did a exercise ride Friday morning, about 15 miles through Rock Creek Park and up into Maryland. Saturday, we went and saw the Lotus and Lily Gardens, the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. I went to Hyattsville and got some beautiful coffee. So we had like a full half day adventure on our bikes. And then Sunday, took a gravel ride, my longest ever, a 30-mile ride, mostly at the Scenic Canal on gravel with my awesome partner. It was so beautiful. So what I notice on a bicycle that I don't notice as much on a car, and or if I'm walking through trails or hiking, is I notice the signs for boundaries when I'm entering Virginia or when I'm entering Maryland from DC or I'm coming back into Maryland. Or I notice the signs when I'm going from DC into Hyattsville or DC into Bladensburg. Right? Notice the signs when I'm going from DC into Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Silver Spring. Right? And I think about boundaries. I think about borders and geographical boundaries, with some exception, are these invisible lines that we create. But they create clarity about what's inside of a particular border or boundary and what's outside of the border or boundary. But when I'm driving my car, I'm riding my bike past a sign to go from Virginia to Maryland or one of the dozens of neighborhoods that I pass through, there are signs to let me know what the name is, to let me know what's important. Maybe they have their slogan, maybe their population, maybe they have a message from the governor. The governor says, "Be safe, thanks for joining our city, and buckle up," whatever, right? Coming into our state. So essentially, boundaries in geographical regions function in a way where they let you know what's inside the boundary. They let you know what's there, what's important, but they're not necessarily there simply as a protection mechanism to keep people inside the boundary or the barrier safe. And they're not there just to keep people out. However, as human beings, we're pretty fucked up when it comes to boundaries. We absolutely don't necessarily understand our boundaries. And what I want to do is, I'm going to go to my notes for a second so I can be succinct in delivering this message. I want to talk about boundaries. Hey, Nelly, thanks for coming back and checking this out. So again, anyone who's watching this, whether you're watching this live or the replay, if any of this resonates with you, I want you to drop a fire emoji below, or make a comment, either one, fire emoji or comment. So I want to know what resonates. I want to get better and better at delivering great content that has value for you. So here's the bottom line, right? Most of us suck at boundaries. Most of us have not been taught about boundaries or what they are, how to enforce them. And for the majority of people in our lives, we haven't been modeled what boundaries look like, really, what boundaries truly are in our personal life, work-life boundaries that allow us to have the life we want, boundaries that we need to have in relationships are often broken because we've modeled a lot of codependent nuclear families and relationships that are off. A lot of our media and culture that's taught us what love is not very realistic, and it doesn't show people enforcing boundaries unless it's an abuse situation, right? So we have not been taught to uphold or enforce boundaries, or we've been taught that we have to enforce boundaries, like they're this powerful thing that's going to keep us protected, keep people out, and essentially what has often happened is we as human beings, at some point in life, either are so rigid that we have to learn to loosen our boundaries to create connection and create collaboration, or for most of us, we realize we've been a wet noodle. We don't have boundaries. We don't tell people what's important to us. We don't tell people what we want. We don't tell people how we want to be treated. We don't tell them our values and where we say, look, that compromises my value. From that point, I'm out. I'm not anymore. Or here's what I want from you as how to be treated. We're not typically taught that. So we wake up one day and we realize we're a wet noodle, and we realize that as a person, in one facet of our life or another, maybe it's work, maybe it's home life, maybe it's love life, maybe it's our personal health, we're lacking in boundaries. We just don't have them, and our life is a mess and there's chaos. And we've been wounded by not having boundaries. We've wounded ourselves, or we've let other people hurt or wound us. So we work with a therapist, we work with a coach, we read a book, we work with a friend, we learn to set boundaries. But in the moment, we're creating boundaries because of a lack of boundaries that have wounded us, and because we believe we're fragile if we cannot be protected, and we believe that we're going to be harmed if we don't learn to, boom, put down the boundaries like a border wall that's forcing people out. So we learn to create boundaries from a place of what I want to say consumer, the belief that we're not safe unless we create boundaries. And that's great, that's positive, that's not a bad thing. We need to learn that skill set. But we don't necessarily need to use boundaries as armor or as weapons. And that a lot of the time is what people start to do once they learn to stop being a wet noodle, pushover, people pleasing, nice guy, nice girl. They start using boundaries to weaponize, or they really struggle to enforce their boundaries because something feels off. And what feels off is they don't need to be armor, they don't need to be weapons, they can be bridges, right? So you suck at boundaries because you weren't taught. And you suck at boundaries because you suffered when you didn't have them. And then you learn to weaponize them and keep yourself safe. Which, like I said, it's an okay stage of development. I think we all need to get there at some point. But it leaves you in a constant state of using these boundaries as defense or protection. But I want to challenge that idea. I want to challenge that notion. Our boundaries are not here just for protection or defense. But a lot of us used to use them like protection or defense. Our boundaries are here for many other reasons. What if you could learn to use boundaries as a bridge to deeper connection, to more intimacy? What if boundaries are not walls? What if your boundaries are here not to keep others out, but really as a tool to communicate how to let people in, how you want to be loved, how you want to be related to, how you want to work with, right? Like I can think of clients where when I help them understand what they wanted for work-life balance, and I help them understand their values and their validation being internalized, their personal value, they were then able to go to family members, to spouses, to partners, to coworkers, to their bosses, their CEOs, and actually have conversations about their boundaries and their values that resulted in better work-life balance, or more pay, or more personal time, or a better division of labor in the home. So what if boundaries were actually a tool to communicate how you wanted to be loved, how you want to split time, how you want to share resources, how you want to work, what allows you to be most efficient in your work or in your life and better. So, like I said, I often do this with clients, right? I can think about a client named Paul. We'll call him Paul. And Paul was a guy who he just constantly, he's a young guy, he's healthy, but he keeps feeling burnt out emotionally and mentally. And so eventually I asked him, what was it going to take for him to actually go ahead and change up the boundary situation, the situation with work and life, where work was killing him in some ways. He really thought it meant that he had to change his role or he had to leave the company. So I worked with him, I coached him to go have a conversation with his direct supervisor, which was like a VP in his company. And essentially at the end of the conversation, the supervisor not only wanted to help him stay within a work-life balance that felt right for him, they created a plan, but they offered him a $15,000 retention bonus because he was showing up with signs saying, I'm starting to get burnt out. I think I'm going to have to leave just for a hiatus or sabbatical. And so in that moment, he learned to share his boundaries as a bridge of connection with his boss, and the boss was able to reward him more deeply. And I think about my client Aaron. And my client Aaron similarly did something. He's in a work culture where he's getting paid tons of money. The guy's like 30 years old, or he's turning 30 next year actually, and he has this really awesome job where he's doing project architecture, as he calls it, for a Salesforce company that implements Salesforce software for these large corporations, these multi-million-dollar contracts, and he's really valuable. And so he's someone who refuses to work and do meetings at 10 p.m. at night. He refuses to do a lot of the 12 and 15-hour days that the corporate culture requires of him. So in the past, he's just basically told them that he's got another meeting or this reason he can't get there. But after months and months and months of upholding his boundaries but not communicating his boundaries, he felt wrong. He felt bad about it. He felt like he was hiding all the time. So again, I helped him figure out what he needed to do to have the conversation with his COO and then eventually his CEO, because he's up there at a very high level, about, hey, here are my boundaries. Is it okay for me to still be in this organization knowing these are my values and these are my boundaries? He had the conversation, and they absolutely said, yes, we can make an exception for you because you're a great individual contributor. Now, he's still going to probably lead the company. His company's values are out of alignment with his life, but that's a whole other story, right? And then I've got many more examples of this. A client who just took on a CMO job, and he thought that a CMO job meant that he has to be working 80 hours a week, but he just went from not working really well. He has multiple projects, a book, a hedge fund, stuff like that. But he went for a bunch of time, about 6 months, where he didn't have like a normal like gig, a 9 to 5. And he didn't want to give up flexibility. So again, he learned to communicate boundaries in like, this is what I will do. I won't work Friday, Monday through Thursday, I'm off by 4 p.m., and I don't like to have meetings before 10 a.m. They wanted his value, they wanted what he brought to the table, so they accepted it. And actually, it helped them understand what's important to him, so he has a better working relationship. And I can think about my clients, especially clients who, in their love relationships, have an idea or an expectation of all the time that they're supposed to spend with their partner, but they've never actually gotten clear on the impact of not having boundaries around time they spend with a partner. And getting clear on the impact, communicating it, actually helps them get into a deeper relationship, or deeper love. So, my turnaround to you, the thing that I want you to think about right now is, when have you used boundaries in a way that it's really there to help you stay protected in a moment where all you needed was to communicate how somebody in your life can help you get what you want, and you can help them get what you want? Or when have you used boundaries as a tool to distance yourself from others? In reality, you would have been more benefited by getting closer than more connected to them. And when have you assumed that if you communicated boundaries, that you hurt someone's feelings? You risk the relationship, rather than having the potential of making the relationship stronger. Right? So, hey Dominique, hey, thanks for checking this out. I appreciate you. Come back later and check it out. But anyway, here's the bottom line for you. I want you to have a better life. And if you want to have a better work-life balance, if you want to have deeper love relationships, deeper family relationships, you must learn how to share and communicate values and emotions and boundaries as a tool for better relationships and mutually beneficial outcomes, not just as a way to protect yourself or create a weaponizing barrier between you and other people. I'll repeat that. If you want a better work-life balance, or you want deeper love and relationships, you must learn to how to share and communicate your emotions, values, and boundaries as a tool for better relationship building, mutually beneficial outcomes, and not just as a protection or weaponizing factor in your life. So a lot of people, even in the mental health world, even in the personal growth world, in coaching, in personal development, in professional development, will talk about boundaries as a way to keep you safe. And I'm so in that conversation. I'm glad that we had this conversation. I'm glad that people can use the idea of boundaries to create more freedom. But I want to challenge you and say that that is honestly just the beginning of the use of the tool of understanding how to communicate your boundaries. It can be so much more than that. So whether you're watching now or you're watching the replay, I want you to do something specifically here. I want you to share an insight or a takeaway that you got from this video. It could be from the first 30 seconds that you watch, it could be from the last few minutes, it could be from anything. What is an insight or a takeaway that you're getting from this video about boundaries, about how to create deeper connection, deeper love via boundaries, or why you suck at boundaries, or many of us suck at boundaries, right? So I want other people to read the comments who don't have the time or the attention span to listen to this whole video, and I want them to gain some lessons. I want them to gain some value. I want them to shine your love. So share your insights and your wisdom. Now, I will again, as always, thank you for your time. I'm extremely grateful for your time and your attention. I believe your time and your attention are two of the most valuable resources on this planet. The most valuable resource on the planet is your love. So thank you for giving your time and attention and your love. Remember that you can build a life and create a life where you build the skill sets and the mindset to live a life that lights you the fuck up. And the way you do this is very simple. You get clear in your head, you open your heart, and you can solidify in your gut. So you can make 3 choices every day. Now, I just listened to a podcast, and apparently it was actually a book on tape. I think it was Joey Coleman's book on tape. Never Lose a Client Again. What's up, Joey? If you're watching, if any Cadre people are watching, say what's up to Joey. I'll give you a little recap when I finish reading the book. But anyway, talked about how most of us make 214 decisions every day about what we're going to eat or buy to eat. 214. We make thousands of decisions every day. If every day, pardon me, you can simply make decisions that are more centered on choosing love over fear, choosing courage over comfort, and choosing creation and creativity over unconsciousness or consumption, then you will stack enough choices to build that life that lights you the fuck up. I promise that right now. And if you want partners, if you want community in building a life that lights you the fuck up, in choosing courage over comfort, creation over consumption, love over fear, and choosing to become the creator of your life rather than being stuck in the consumer of your old way of being, your old beliefs, your old patterns, your relationships, your old habits, then I want you to join Drop the Armor Dojo. I want you to join Drop the Armor Dojo and join me and other badass humans who are working our asses off to choose love, courage, creation. I'll drop a link in the comments. You can join. Peace. I'm out. I love you. I will see you next week if you're on my profile. I'll see you tomorrow if you're in Drop the Armor Dojo. We're going to go deep on, I have some type set up for tomorrow. What do I have for tomorrow? I already planned it all out. Tomorrow we are talking about overthinking and the diseases of overthinking, and actually how confusion and overthinking go hand in hand, and what to do when you lack clarity of vision, right? So I'll see you for that tomorrow in the dojo. If you're not in the dojo, join us. For now, I'm out.